Barry Bonds?
Oh, here we go. This is going to be a good one. I guess the fact that he hasn't come close to being voted in baseball's Hall of Fame could have something to do with the omission. As we all know, his performance is rather tainted because he's suspected of using a performance-enhancing drug.
But is it fair, Wes? I mean, Bonds was convicted on one count of obstruction for lying to the grand jury, and that one conviction was eventually overturned.
Well, the public sentiment is that he was using a certain kind of drug that was undetectable. A drug company called Balco in San Francisco came under investigation, and Barry Bonds was one of the accused of being one of their customers.
Yeah, and I think what made people suspicious was that at the age of 35, Bonds became really bulked up and began hitting more home runs than he ever had hit before. At age 36, he blasted 73 home runs, eclipsing Mark McGwire's single-season home run record.
Yeah, and when he passed Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron for the most career home runs, people really looked at him with suspicion. How's this 40-year-old guy, right, able to smash 45 home runs a year? Something didn't feel quite right.
You know, guys, he never officially failed a drug test. And if you look at him, even before he bulked up, he was probably a Hall of Fame player anyway. I mean, even if you look at him just statistically speaking, he's probably the greatest baseball player ever, no matter what the position.
Yeah, you know what? You're right about all of that, Mark. So it warrants taking a little bit of a closer look at Bonds, the ball player. I know he wasn't just a power hitter. Yeah. He actually batted over 300 11 times in his career. And man, oh man, he could run too.
No doubt. Look, this guy stole 514 bases in his career. And in fact, he's the only member of the 500-500 club, which is, for those who don't know, 500 stolen bases, 500 home runs.
Yeah, in fact, there's nobody even in the 400 club. It just shows how prolific he was.
Murph, do you know how many stolen bases Ted Williams had in his career?
I don't.
24 total.
Well, as far as the fielding goes, too, when you're looking at Bonds, he won 8 Gold Gloves. So, to Farsley's point, the guy could do it all.
Answer me this. How many Gold Gloves did Ted Williams win?
Guys, let me interject for just 1 second here. The Gold Glove Award wasn't even a thing until 1957, and that was the tail end of Ted Williams' career. However, he was known as a maybe average fielder at best, but you look at a guy like Barry Bonds who won all those Gold Gloves, yeah, he was a pretty good fielder. So with PEDs aside, who was better, Ted Williams or Barry Bonds?
All right, so let's do a comparison. Obviously, Bonds played in a lot more games than Williams, but two stats kind of stick out to me, okay? Ted Williams had a career batting average of .344. Bonds, .298. And compared with Ted's .482 on-base percentage, where was Barry? .444.
Yeah, but Bonds was a much better all-around player, right? I mean, a top fielder, base stealer, and he was the most feared hitter in baseball during his time.
Yeah, well, that is true for sure. This is one of the strangest cases, really. Barry Bonds has become sort of forgotten or maybe shoved aside when in actuality he might be one of the greatest ever to play the game.
Look, I just wish he wouldn't have done the whole thing that has this whole cloud of suspicion hanging over it. So I have to ask the question, all things considered, is he better than Ted Williams?
PEDs aside, yeah, I think the argument could be made, but that's not really the reality, is it? The consensus is Barry Bonds cheated. So, no, I'm going to stick with Ted Williams as the greatest because he did it, well, he did it the right way.
I just think about the fact that he kept on the same path he was on before everything changed. He would still have gotten the immediate nod into the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
But choices have consequences. Whether he did it or not, here we are. And I think I'd feel a little uncomfortable going with Bonds. Argue with me later, Murph. But for right now, we're agreeing that Ted Williams is the man, Farsley.